the latest on Shohei Ohtani. We got a few different news outlets coming in with some different news, right? We had Jon Heyman today. We had Jon Morosi today. We had Bob Nightingale, I believe, coming in with some stuff today. And, pretty much we're in a holding pattern right now with Shohei Ohtani. You got to imagine something has to happen this week, right? Because you got to think with Shohei Ohtani, pretty much the market is waiting on him, right? We have never seen a free agent like this before. We have never seen a free agent of this magnitude before. You could argue in all of sports, right? Go back to the LeBron James free agency back in, what was it, 2010, 2011. All eyes were on that. Now, LeBron, I would argue, probably has a bit more of that mainstream appeal than Shohei Ohtani, but Shohei Ohtani arguably is going to bring you much more of an impact to your team than maybe you could argue than LeBron did, to the Miami Heat. It's on that same stratosphere, right? Where Shohei Ohtani is that talented and that good, where whatever team he goes to, it's going to change that team, right? So I think that's a good debate. Do you think, what was more impactful? Do you think LeBron was more impactful going to the Heat? I know it's a different sport. I get that. But still, right, when you're looking at superstar players, or do you think Shohei Ohtani will be more impactful for the team that he goes to? Let me know. I think that's a pretty good debate. A couple of super chats coming in. I'll get to those in just a second. But here we go. Jon Heyman, he said here, let's start with what he said. Ohtani is believed to have already received multiple bids well north of $500 million, and some speculate he could even wind up as baseball's first $600 million man. Could you imagine, man? Could you imagine a $600 million contract? I could possibly see that when it comes to Shohei Ohtani. I think there's going to have to be incentives in there. I think there's going to have to be maybe some options in there. Maybe that's just too crazy for my potato brain to comprehend, that someone could actually get a $600 million contract. That is just bonkers to me. Like, I can't even comprehend that. I don't know. Like, to me, when I first react to that kind of a number, $600 million, I think, well, he's not going to be pitching next year. You don't know what the health is going to be of his arm moving forward. Can it really get to the $600 million mark? Absolutely. I think it can get to 500. Oh, I absolutely think that. But 600? Oh, that blows my mind thinking about it. I'm going to say it probably lands somewhere like 500, 550. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe a team is like, you know what? Slap an extra 50 mil on that. We want Ohtani here. And, you got to think, maybe some teams, in the bidding here actually think that, because they see the marketing appeal, they see the ticket sales, they see the jersey sales, they see the Ohtani bobblehead nights. Who knows? I mean, I don't see why a team wouldn't at least even think about it. So we'll have to wait and see what that contract ends up being. I've said this before. I'm very interested in what the contract, the structure of it, will actually look like. Whether, how many options are put in there, maybe like club options, or who knows, player options in there. Maybe some, certain incentives based off of his health. Could there be opt-outs in there? Who knows? I mean, who knows what this contract could end up being? We have never seen a contract like this, right? We have never seen a player like this since Babe Ruth. And last time I checked, Babe Ruth did not get a contract for $500 million bucks. But I digress. We had some other news in here as well. So Jon Heyman was talking about the contract, and Jon Morosi, he was out here today saying that it's likely that we are going to see Ohtani likely decide on a team within the next week, according to one source engaged with the top end of the free agent market. Then Bob Nightingale, he came out with an article today on USA Today, and he actually sounded a little bit more pessimistic. I hate to ruin the excitement of Ohtani possibly signing during the winter meetings, but I'm just saying, Nightingale, what the heck just happened to my article? But Nightingale did say that he's not going to be signing during the winter meetings. And it says right here, despite the rampant rumors, unless someone suddenly writes a $1 billion check, Ohtani is not signing at the winter meetings. Now, from what we had heard from this past weekend, he had been meeting, with his, his circle, I guess you could call it. And, they were kind of discussing things. To me, I don't see why he couldn't sign at the winter meetings, especially when you have, agents there, you got teams there. It would make some sense, right, that he could sign during this time. I don't see why he couldn't. So I'm not really sure where Nightingale is getting this from. He kind of just threw it in there. Like, he didn't really give any sort of, any reason for why this is a possibility. With the winter meetings, I'm not trying to juice it up, but it is the winter meetings, right? We've seen many blockbuster signings over the years, many blockbuster trades over the years. So why couldn't Shohei Ohtani come up during this week? And one thing to note with Bob Nightingale, he has definitely been wrong a lot of times. I'm not saying all of these guys out here have been right 100% of the time, but Nightingale has swung and missed a lot. So I'm not sure where he's getting this. I'll talk about something else Nightingale said in just a little bit about Yamamoto, which I completely disagreed with. I'll get to that in just a little bit. But I don't know. I think it's possible he doesn't sign. Maybe he just wants to avoid the hoopla of the winter meetings and whatnot. Or I'm not sure. Who knows? But just giving you an idea or a reminder in case you haven't heard what teams are in the hunt. Reportedly, and he does list them here as well, the Dodgers, they have been the #1 team for almost feels like years now. It feels like we hear Dodgers Ohtani every single day. He has the Angels, the Blue Jays, the Cubs, the Giants. And he also says, and this was an interesting one today, I put out a tweet today saying, talking about this one part, saying that there is a mystery team. That tweet actually got a bit of traction today, and a lot of people were curious, man, which team is this mystery team? I was speculating. I'm like, man, what teams could possibly be out there that you think are completely not in the bidding, but could be in the bidding? We have seen the Braves come up before with Ohtani. Maybe they're looking to see if they could work some kind of a shorter deal. I would think with Ohtani, I mean, come on. Like, this guy is at his absolute peak right now, minus the pitching, but he's going to get back to pitching eventually. With the bat, though, this guy is absolute prime. I mean, the guy's an absolute monster at the plate right now. I could understand possibly, yeah, he wants to show that he's healthy on the mound and maybe go back out into the market after that. So I could understand that. I would personally think Ohtani would like to have a long-term deal at this point, because who knows what could happen in the next couple of years. You just don't know. So that's why I think, you're going to see some incentives put in place, options, possibly opt-outs. So maybe the Braves could be interested in something like that. Another team that I think probably not. Listen, you're going to call me crazy, but listen, we've seen it before. There's just always something about Dave freaking Dombrowski, man. I'm always looking out for that guy. I'm not saying Ohtani is realistic for the Phillies at all, but there's just something about Dave Dombrowski and Middleton there. They just always scare me. Like, I know anytime they show interest, it always seems to come out a little earlier, but who knows? I don't know, man. It's probably a 0.0001% chance the Phillies are even making a phone call, but I don't know, man. Dave Dombrowski, that guy is always just doing something, man. You don't call him Dealing Dave for nothing. I don't think the Phillies are in this, but who knows who this mystery team could be? Is he making it up? Is the agent maybe making it up? I don't know. Who knows what this is? But for me, personally, I would say these teams seem to be the logical teams remaining, right? The Dodgers have been connected with him forever. You can't count out the Angels. You really can't. You cannot count them out. That's the only team he knows. There's the familiarity there. It's been his home, right? And seems like it's been a positive experience for him, minus the winning. But I've said this before on the show. If he thinks that they can win, it doesn't matter what we think. So who knows? Maybe he still has that opinion. Maybe he thinks they're maybe a couple of pieces away from getting it done. You just did bring in Ron Washington as your new manager. He's going to have a new coaching staff. That's been something that's been in the news for the past couple of days. That they're working on getting that coaching staff put together. So who knows? I would not count the Angels out. The Blue Jays, I think, I did tweet about this over the weekend. I think the Blue Jays are really interesting. The more I think about it, and maybe I'm just kind of making stuff up in my head, but the more I think about the Blue Jays, the more I just wonder, right? Because we've seen Vlad Jr., we've seen Bo Bichette in the rumor mill, and oddly enough, they haven't even approached these guys about extensions, right? And most Blue Jays fans are like, why haven't we started extension talks with these guys? I know Bichette had that, the contract that they came up with, but they're both coming up on free agency in a couple of years. So it makes me curious, like, why haven't they gone to these guys about extensions, right? And then you've been seeing their names popping up, right? I know people are saying, Cubs people are making up the Bo Bichette stuff. I don't know, man. Anytime I see a little bit of smoke, I'm always thinking that there could be something, right? But Ken Rosenthal did report that teams had called about Bo Bichette and had even called about Vlad Jr. So it makes me wonder if they have not even approached them with extension talks, or at least serious extension talks, right? Then maybe they got their mind on Ohtani here. And funny enough, when you look at Vlad Jr. and Bo Bichette offensively last year, Shohei Ohtani actually, with just the bat last year, had a higher Fangraph WAR than both Bichette and Vlad combined. So maybe the Blue Jays look at this like, you know what? If we, could give the money to these guys, or we could maybe give the money to Ohtani, right? And I've seen a lot of people say, well, they could sign Ohtani, they could still extend Bichette, they could still extend Vlad, but you got to think here, that's all of a sudden, you're giving out a lot of money at that point. You've already given out a big contract to Springer, Gausman. That sounds like more wishful thinking, if you ask me. I think if you bring in Ohtani, I would imagine probably not, at least I would say less likely than not, that you're going to extend those guys, right? You could, right? Or maybe one of those guys I could possibly see. I'm just pointing out the fact that the Blue Jays, I think, are interesting, right? Because they haven't done any extension stuff with these guys, and they've been in the rumor mill. And the one thing with Bichette is he has a lot of value right now, because obviously being a shortstop in the game, right? He's got a great bat, and teams could use a player like him. He has good value right now. You could essentially trade Bichette, and you could get some good pieces in. The Blue Jays farm system has really digressed, really regressed the last couple of years, where I think Baseball America ranks them 25th overall. So you could use Bichette to maybe help replenish the farm, maybe bring in some young major league players, or close to ready major league players that can help the team now. I think it's more likely Bichette could be a trade, piece than Vlad, because he has more value at the moment. I could possibly see something like that, right? You sign Ohtani, trade Bichette. I don't know. Like, I could see it, right? And they got some other guys here. You got guys like Schneider who could fill in somewhere. You got someone like Addison Barger who's been coming up recently. You got guys like Martinez down in the minors that maybe could take that next step. So I think the Blue Jays are really interesting, pretty much is what I'm trying to say. The Blue Jays, anytime I think of the Blue Jays, I also don't really hear too much negativity, right? And look at what they did with Gausman, signing him, signing Springer. Those are two, high-level guys that you were able to bring in the last few years, and both those guys said, hey, the Blue Jays, they're looking to win, right? They're built to win. And Ohtani, he's looking for a winner. Listen, I just think there's a lot of boxes that the Blue Jays do check off that we haven't really thought of, right? So look out for them, pretty much. I went on a bit of a rant there, but the Cubs, don't count out the Cubs. I feel like they haven't really had a lot of steam lately. I feel like you see little things here and there that maybe the Cubs, are being aggressive, but I feel like they're not getting as much steam lately as these other teams. And then the Giants, right? This is a team that has, been, according to the reports, very aggressive for Ohtani. They really want this guy. I've seen reports where they want Ohtani more than maybe Ohtani wants them, because maybe he feels like Oracle Park isn't really the best fit for him long term. I don't know. Worked out fine for Barry Bonds last time I checked, but I think the Giants are interesting. Look out for them, because they got all the money waiting in the world. They've been trying to spend this money. So look out for one of these teams. Again, I don't know who this mystery team could be. I thought maybe Phillies, Dave Dombrowski. I don't know. But maybe the Braves on a short-term deal. I've seen, people say the Mariners, but we've seen reports about the Mariners not really being in it anymore. I don't know, man. To me, these are the teams for Ohtani that I'm personally looking for. So let's see what ends up happening here. Can we see an Ohtani move? I mean, I don't know what to think at this point. I don't even know what kind of a prediction to even make. I don't even know, because I feel like he's already waited this long, which, hey, rightfully so for him. This is a big decision you got to make, right? You're going to be the richest man in baseball history, right? To me, yeah, I think the guy should take his time. I really do think, though, something's got to start moving here, because this market, it feels like there's just something stuck in this market right now, and it can't move until Ohtani does something. You got all these names out there. I mean, not even just hitters, right? But guys like Yamamoto, where, Yamamoto and Ohtani have been connected to the same teams, but I would imagine teams would like to get Ohtani done with first, and then you shift your focus to Yamamoto. So he's holding up a lot of the market, and I don't even know what to think. Will he sign this week? Could it be maybe that Monday after the winter meetings? Maybe he uses this week to kind of talk with teams. But when I'm looking at the Morosi tweet, I don't know, man. I wonder. I would like to lean that we're going to see something at some point this week. I think if it does happen this week, it'll be later in the week. Maybe like that Thursday, that Friday, maybe, when teams are kind of starting to head home, and maybe he announces it then. That's what I would like to think. All right? We'll see. We'll see. But let me get caught up here on the Super Chats. We did have some Super Chats coming in. We had a lot of Super Chats coming in. Let me actually pull those up here. And everyone, thank you so much for stopping by tonight. We're at 170 likes. The goal for tonight is 300. If you can help us get to 300, I will love you forever. But wow, we got a lot of Super Chats coming in. Ben Lowry, Soto to the O's coming in hot. Also, Yamamoto to the Red Sox. Yeah, Soto to the O's. That's not happening. I mean, if they wanted to pony up the money, who knows? I don't know. I don't see it. But Yamamoto to the Red Sox. We'll talk about Yamamoto in a little bit. We'll talk about him. Thank you, Ben Lowry, for that Super Chat. Remixed, becoming a new member. Thank you for that. If anyone is thinking about becoming a member, the join button is down below, so definitely consider it. You get the badges, you get the emojis in the chat, you get access to a Discord as well, so think about it. Maury's Life, $4.99. Can't wait for John Heyman to tweet out. Yeah, Maury's Life, this is really good. Can't wait for John Heyman to tweet out, Shohei Ohtani to the Giants. Please, I need the John Heyman tweet. This is what I would actually like to think with John Heyman. I think he's already got all of the drafts ready. I think he's double-checking, triple-checking. I think John Heyman's going to be okay. At least I would like to think. CJ LaChapelle becoming a member for the 21st month. Thank you for that, my friend. You're amazing. What do we got? Luke, how you doing? $4.99. Is there a legit chance Ohtani re-signs with the Angels? I feel like he wants to stay. Do you like Ron Washington to the Angels? I absolutely am not counting out the Angels, right? I just talked about this a little earlier. I absolutely think the Angels are not out of it by any means, right? Look at what the Angels have done. Go back to the deadline. I know, sure, they completely fell apart. They fell off a cliff. But they tried. Give them that. I'm not saying that's going to convince Ohtani. But you brought Ron Washington in. I cannot speak. That's a big move, man. That's a well-respected guy in the major leagues. And, let's see what the coaching staff is going to look like once it's all assembled. I do like Ron Washington to the Angels. He's big on the fundamentals, and I think that's actually what the Angels need, especially in the infield. Their infield defense was horrible last year. Ron Washington, I think, is going to put a big emphasis on that, especially with who he brings into the coaching staff. Ben Lowry, $2. Ohtani mystery team is 100% Mariners, Ichiro legacy. Who knows? Maybe the Mariners, they took themselves out a couple of weeks ago, right? Because we saw that report that the Mariners were no longer in it. Maybe they're in it. All of a sudden, they're back in it. Who knows? Sean McNally, $4.99. Who do you think the Rangers should go for if they are going for a cheap option? I personally would like Lugo, but the bullpen issue needs to be fixed, right? And we have heard the reports of the Rangers over the last couple of days, or maybe there's some TV money issues going on, right? Who knows what's going on with that? There's a lot of TV issues right now among the major league teams. I don't know where this is going, man. Cable TV, it's just going, I don't know. But I think Lugo could be an interesting option, to be completely honest with you. Why not? I think they could use some bullpen help. Honestly, could you just bring back Chapman? I've kind of thought about that. Would Chapman possibly be a guy that you can just bring back? Sure, he gives people heart attacks, but hey, he did well in the postseason. Who knows? I think he was a pretty good fit there. If I'm looking at other relievers, Hader I thought was a really good possibility. Could that maybe be a possibility, right? But who knows what kind of money? We'll talk about Hader in a little bit, but he's looking for big bucks according to the reports. So, again, not sure what's going on with the Rangers' payroll at the moment. So, will they maybe hold back a little bit? Maybe someone like Jordan Hicks, could be an interesting option there. Ryan Brazier, he revitalized his career with the Dodgers. I could see Brazier, honestly, just going back to the Dodgers. He did so well. But yeah, maybe they can go out there on the trade market, right? There was a report that Jack Leiter was on the trade block during around the trade deadline time. So I don't know. Could maybe we see Jack Leiter come up in the rumor mill for this offseason? Maybe I don't think you're trading Jack Leiter for a relief pitcher. I'm just saying, but maybe they could work out a trade for a reliever out there. We'll have to see. But yeah, I definitely think the Rangers can definitely get in on something here. Absolutely for the bullpen. I like Jordan Hicks. I think that could be a nice option. Michael Borland, $13.99 Canadian. Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate you. Jays just spent hundreds of $millions on stadium renovations, raised season ticket prices, coming off underwhelming 2023. 100% they are making a splash. Rogers, who owns Jays' net worth is $33 billion. And that's another thing I forgot to mention too, right? Remember I said with the Blue Jays, they tend to not really have a lot of negative things come out of the organization. I feel like for the most part, people like being there. It seems to always be a pretty positive vibe. And like you said, look at all the renovations they made. I mean, look, from what I saw, I have not been to Rogers Center, but it looks pretty good. A lot of the renovations they made definitely looks like a better experience there. And, they're very big on like family events as well. They'd like to do that kind of stuff. Maybe Ohtani will, at the end of the day, it's going to be, what is Ohtani comfortable with? Does he feel at home, right, with whatever team he sits down with? If he feels good about the Jays, if he has just a good vibe from them, right? And don't forget, you got a big Japanese population over there. Maybe Ohtani maybe he likes that. I don't know. It's really hard to say, man. It's really hard to say. One more super chat before I move on. Leiter and something for Devin Williams. Devin Williams, look out for him. Devin Williams, absolutely. I could definitely see him. We'll get to the Brewers in just a little bit. Man, you guys are going crazy with the super chats right now. Remixed, $5 super chat. Have a feeling Cardinals are going to trade for Emmanuel Clase. That's another one. Having a back end with Gallegos, Clase, and Helsley would be electric. Clase, I don't see why that couldn't happen with the Texas Rangers too. Cardinals, look out for them. I think the Cardinals need to add something for that bullpen. So let's see what ends up happening here. But let's move on here. Let's get away from Shohei Ohtani a little bit. Let me close some of these tabs so my potato brain doesn't get confused. But we have a guy by the name of Juan Soto in the news lately. Let's talk a little Juan Soto here. And I'm really going to dive into this. I just did a stream on Friday night. Kind of going over the reports about how there's a bit of a holdup. They're not really agreeing, right? The Padres are looking for a lot. The Yankees don't think it's a fair trade. But let's kind of just go over this again. I personally think you could see a Juan Soto trade this week. I really think that could absolutely happen. So let's do a recap here. Let's go back, right? Andy Martino. He was putting out tweets as well. He was all over the place with his freaking tweets. So just the article is probably the best way to go. So he says here, momentum stalls for now at least. Now, that was the one thing I saw among like any of these guys out there that were talking about this, right? That they could just restart the talks. They could open it back up. Because at the end of the day, it's just a matter of getting the right players together in a package, right, that both teams can agree on. What is good about these two teams coming together is the players are there to make a deal happen. That's why I think it's going to happen, right? Again, it's leverage. It's negotiations. Give credit to Preller and the Padres. Everyone knows they have to get rid of Soto. You don't, I guess, don't have to necessarily, but they're trying to lower their payroll. Soto's going to make $33 million next year projected. I mean, good grief. You're at 189 right now with Soto, and you need pitching, right? Look at all the guys that have just left. You know, Snell, Lugo, Waka. You've lost a lot of innings. They need to add pitching. So, in my opinion, you have to get rid of Soto, all right? So, we kind of had a lot happening here where it looked like momentum was building, and then all of a sudden it stalled, right? And the big reason, the big holdup was just simply finding the right package, right? The Padres are asking for a ton, and rightfully so. Again, I just said, give credit to Preller, because this is Juan freaking Soto at the end of the day, and you know you're in a bind. You know you have to clear payroll. Teams know this, but he's digging his feet into the ground. He knows he has to stand firm. Right? He has to get as much out of this as he can. He has to squeeze as much out of it as he can. This is classic negotiations. I don't know why people are all up in arms about this, because it's really nothing surprising. This happens all the time. Anytime you see trades, all those trades that kind of come out of nowhere, this is, at one point, this is maybe where they have been, right? I guarantee you, over the past year or so, go back to the trade deadline, teams are asking for a ginormous amount for a certain player, but we just didn't hear about it, right? This is classic negotiation. So Heyman, he said here today at 10 o'clock in the morning, the Yankees and the Padres haven't spoken since Padres requested a 6-player package, including Michael King and Drew Thorpe, for Soto and Grisham. That was another name that came up as well. The Padres are trying to clear him off. He's going to be making around $5 million for next year. The Yankees have other starters. They could hope to make it work for Soto, but they are a no on King and or Thorpe. So that is the big thing for me, and I talked about this on Friday. If we go to baseballtradevalues.com, right now, this package is just, and these are the 4 names that have come up in reports: Michael King, Drew Thorpe, Randy Vasquez, and Johnny Brito. These are the only names that we have, like the concrete names that have come up, as well as Clark Schmidt, right? But these are the big ones, it seems, that the Padres are looking to get. So as you can see here, this is a huge overpay. And remember, I'm not going to go into in depth about this, but there's a difference between player and trade value. You can disagree with me all you want, but it's simple economics at the end of the day. Juan Soto, he's got 1 year of control. He's making a boatload of money. It's still Juan freaking Soto. He's really good. He's one of the best players in the game. Probably going to go down as one of the best players of all time, but it's still 1 year of control, $33 million. That's a lot of moolah. So you're right now getting anywhere from maybe, like a 25, maybe even, possibly $35 million value for Juan Soto. That's really good. That's very similar to what Mookie Betts' value was before he got traded to the Dodgers. So that's honestly something I could see probably a better trade for Juan Soto, honestly. I think the Padres could get something better, but I think the Padres are looking at that Mookie Betts trade and saying, no, we want more than what the Red Sox got. Look at how bad that trade turned out. We need to get more than what the Red Sox got back with Verdugo, Downs, and Connor Wong, where they know how that did not work out for the Red Sox. They don't want that to happen to them. So Michael King, Drew Thorpe, it can't be both, right? I could see a scenario where maybe you do Michael King, right? Michael King, and you're probably looking at this, I guarantee you there's one person in this chat right now that's saying, how does Michael King have more value than Juan Soto? Player-wise, Juan Soto is clearly the better value player. But when it comes to the entire, when you're weighing everything, years of control, salary, look at what Michael look at what Michael King has done the last couple of years, put up great numbers last year, showed he can pitch in the rotation. And I've seen people saying that too, where Michael King, he was in the rotation for 7 starts. Well, hey, Seth Lugo became a starter, and he's doing very well. Michael King looked excellent as a starter last year. I absolutely think he can handle it. But Michael King has multiple years of control, is barely making anything for next year, a projected $2.9 million. That's nothing, and you're getting that much production for $2.9 million, and you get a couple of years of control. That's why you're seeing a higher median value than Juan Soto's median value. Again, this is not saying the player is better. It's simply just looking at the entire package, right? So in my opinion, I don't think you can do King and Thorpe, right? So let's take out Thorpe, all right? So now it's still not accepted by the simulator, but I honestly wonder, wait, did I just take out Thorpe? Oh yeah, I took out Thorpe. So it's still not accepted by the simulator. So maybe you could do King, I don't know, maybe a couple of lower prospects. I'm not really sure what you could work in here, but this is definitely a gap, right? I don't think King is going to be the guy that ends up going back. I just think he's too valuable at the moment. So I think personally, the deal that I think makes sense is instead of Michael King, you do Clark Schmidt, right? And then maybe you can throw Thorpe back in. So actually, where is Thorpe here? Here we go. So this one is a little closer. Still is rejected by the simulator. But again, you're getting closer here. So maybe instead of Thorpe, I don't know, maybe you could do someone like Will Warren. You know, that's a decent pitching prospect right there. So let me take out Thorpe. All right. And actually, maybe you're looking pretty close here. So now this is approved by the simulator, right? And you're still getting a lot of pitching here for the Padres. And, you know, maybe you don't have to have Vasquez and Brito. I just have them here because these are the names we've seen in the reports, all right? But I could see this package being a bit more realistic. I just don't think King is going to be the guy. But remember, if it's just Soto, right, that's going to make the package even tougher. But now let's include Trent Grisham, all right? Grisham has a pretty decent value, right? Not anything crazy, but he's got $10 million, right? So now you got a lot more flexibility here if the Yankees agree to take Grisham. Just because we've seen Grisham in the news doesn't mean that they're necessarily gonna be taking him, right? I'm just showing you all options right now. But let's say Grisham does go back. Well, now you have a lot more to play with here, right? So let's say maybe instead of Will Warren, like we just looked at a little earlier, now maybe you could put back Drew Thorpe, put him back in, and I definitely think something could happen here. All right, so let's take him out, right? And now I definitely think Thorpe could be included. Now let's see if maybe you could work in Michael King, right? Let's take out Michael King. Let's take out Clark Schmidt. And you got a pretty good gap here. However, this is being approved by the simulator, right? Because Grisham is being involved here, you could, again, it would be approved here, but it doesn't seem like maybe the Yankees would be for it. If it's maybe just these four guys, possibly. Maybe you take out someone like Vasquez or Brito. Let me take out Vasquez, right? And maybe now it's maybe a little better, but I don't know. I feel like the Padres really want to get as much as they can. So, I don't know. I just think at the end of the day, I feel like Clark Schmidt is, I don't know, at least in my opinion, is going to have to be the guy. If the Padres really want to get multiple players, as many players as they can, I just feel like Michael King is not going to be the guy, and I feel like Clark Schmidt is going to be the more sensible option because you can just add in so much more at this point. You can do Thorpe. Maybe you could throw in Warren, right? You know, throw Vasquez back in there, right? And, you know, all of a sudden, you're getting a lot here, you know? And when you're looking at the what the simulator's saying, they're calling it a moderate overpay at this point. So I think something like this is honestly a bit more digestible for the Yankees, and I think that's what the Yankees are really pushing for. And Clark Schmidt has been in the rumor mill. So I absolutely think the Yankees, they want to trade Schmidt so much more than Michael King, right? So I see something like this being a bit more digestible. If it is Michael King, I don't think you're going to see Thorpe in the deal. I think it's either Michael King and maybe a couple more pieces, or instead you can do Schmidt, Thorpe, and then you can add in, a few other pieces as well. So, do I think Schmidt is the best option for the Padres? No, I would rather have Michael King. I absolutely would. Again, but this is where negotiations come into play. So for me personally, I think this is more digestible. But for the Padres, if they really want King, right, I think they're going to have to take Thorpe out of the deal. So let's actually go back to that one here. So let's take Schmidt out. Let's put King back in. And let's take Thorpe out, right? So I think if you have a package like this, I think this is possible, right? Maybe you take out Brito or Vasquez. Maybe you take one of them out. Maybe you throw in like another prospect or something. I don't know. Maybe like Trey Sweeney, throw in a bat. Maybe a bat goes back, instead. Because, the Yankees are giving up a lot of pitchers here. So I would think maybe the Yankees want to maybe put in a bat instead. So I don't know. We've also seen Domingo Germán in the trade rumors. Could Domingo Germán maybe be part of this? Probably not at this point, but he did pop up in the news today. And let's actually see, what is Germán's value right now? It can't be really too high. Domingo Germán. Oh, he's not even popping up here. I don't even know where Domingo Germán is. Where is Domingo Germán? I don't know where he is. He's not popping up for some reason. I don't know. Whatever. But maybe you could put him in. I don't know. Probably not. So, overall, I think personally... Oh, Germán. Oh, sorry. I'm going completely blank. Germán is a free agent. I apologize. Sorry about that. Either way, I think you can't have Michael King. You can't have Thorpe. You just can't do it. You can't have both. So... those are just my opinions. I personally think a deal gets done this week. I just think there's too much wiggle room in these negotiations for something to not get done. You have multiple players that you can work with. The Yankees really need a bat. The Padres have to get rid of Soto. I think they come together this week, and I think they get it done. But let's get back to some Super Chats here. Here we go. We had a couple more coming in. Thank you so much for the Super Chats, everyone. I greatly appreciate it. Matthew Villarreal, how you doing? $4.99. The Yankees acting like Michael King is Roger Clemens. Soto would change their lineup. Thorpe, Clark, and King, or peace out. Yeah, I think I wouldn't necessarily say they're treating him like he's Roger Clemens, but I think it's more just... you just have to kind of look at how teams are doing trades these days, right? It's not like how it was back in the day. There's a lot more analytics that come into play here. Teams are looking at those years of control a bit more now. The salaries, obviously. I don't think it's really they're looking at him like Roger Clemens. I think they're just trying to just get a fair deal, right? Yes, it is Juan Soto, but it's 1 year of Juan Soto. That's the one thing you have to remember. It's not Juan Soto. It's 1 year of Juan Soto. So that's just what I think. A couple more going in here. Mets fan, $1.99. The Mets are going big. You were wrong. I mean, I haven't seen. What are the Mets doing? Have the Mets done anything? Do they have Yamamoto yet? I don't know. King and Thorpe got to be in the trade, says Navaculus. Did I pronounce that right? $4.99. Thank you for that. King and Thorpe got to be in the trade. It's going to be tough. I mean, maybe the Yankees will, maybe they'll bend. Maybe they'll bend for it. We'll have to see. Thank you for the $4.99. Andrew Lee, $1.99. One of our members. Talk about Soto to the Blue Jays, possibly. So let's talk about Juan Soto to the Blue Jays. Now, this was, thank you, Andrew Lee, because that was actually the next thing I was going to talk about. So if we're looking at Juan Soto, the Blue Jays came up as well. So let's talk about them. I personally, and maybe I'm wrong, I probably am wrong, but I personally just don't see the Blue Jays as an option here. I just really don't. I think it would be a great fit. I mean, obviously, Soto for them would be amazing, but I'm just looking at what the Blue Jays could throw back, right? Where's Juan Soto here? Baseball trade values are killing me. Here we go. So taking a look at Juan Soto to the Blue Jays. Again, we've already seen the value, right? But going back to the Padres, I feel like the Yankees they just have a stronger package, right? Or at least the players that you can put in a package. The Blue Jays have run really thin, right? Remember I mentioned earlier, farm system has dropped to 25th overall. So I don't know. Like, unless you do someone like Ricky Tiedemann, but Ricky Tiedemann, you know, he's not exactly on the brink of, you know, being, you know, yes, I think Ricky Tiedemann is going to be really good. But let me show you this. Ricky Tiedemann, that's a guy where, like, you know, Michael King has already shown that he's major league ready. You know, even Clark Schmidt at this point, right? I would imagine the Padres want major league ready. Tiedemann's on the cusp, but he's not fully there yet. And I think that could be an issue for the Padres, right? I don't know. And Tiedemann is very good. Like that, this would be an amazing piece for the Padres to get back. But is it what they want right now? The Padres want to compete, right? And they're doing everything they can to try and get some pieces that can help them compete for next year. So Tiedemann is a guy, he could come up at some point next year, but he's not really a guy right now that you can hand the ball to and be like, all right, take us to the promised land, right? Or someone that you can fully count on at the moment. He's going to be very good, though, in my opinion. So I just don't think he's really that guy. You know, if I'm looking at other guys, actually, John Heyman, let me actually pull this up here. This was actually, now that I'm thinking about it, John Heyman actually did tweet this out a little earlier. Where is it? Here we go. Let me show you this, everyone. Alek Manoah's name has come up in Juan Soto trade talks with the Padres. Could be a change of scenery guy. If you go back to my Friday night stream, I said I think Alek Manoah could be part of this package. So let's go take a look at this. Alek Manoah, yeah, if the Padres are okay with this, you could absolutely work in Manoah as a piece in this deal. If you can get him back on track, wow, that would be huge for the Padres, right? If you could get Manoah back to what he was doing a couple of years ago, oh, that'd be amazing. And I don't know, to me at least, it feels like everything went really sour with the Blue Jays and Manoah last year. I don't know. I just feel like, and you're hearing his name come up a lot. I just wonder. You know, again, like Heyman said, could that be a change of scenery kind of a guy? So, yeah, you could work Manoah in here. Maybe someone like Davis Schneider. This guy was really good with the bat last year. You could throw him out in left, or he's a utility guy. You can play him at other positions. So maybe you could do Manoah. You could do Schneider. I don't know. Maybe throw someone, I don't know. This is going to look ridiculous, but like maybe Yusei Kikuchi. Do the Blue Jays want to give up this many starting pitchers? I don't know about that. I'm just throwing stuff out there. I think the Blue Jays could get it done, but I just like the Yankees when it comes to their package, right? It just looks a little better to me. Manoah is such a question mark right now. He's a big if. If you can get him back on track, that's amazing, right? But right now, I mean, as you can see, his value is, I mean, pretty much the reason his value is even still holding afloat is because he has a bunch of years of control. He's not really making a whole bunch, you know, in salary for next year. And, you know, just a couple of years ago, he was really good. So, you know, he still has value, but he doesn't have a lot. He had a huge value at one point. I think it was getting close to like the hundreds. He's definitely fallen off. So, again, I know this trade, probably a few of you in the chat are just laughing at this right now. I'm just pointing out that maybe the Blue Jays could get something done. Personally, I just think the Yankees have a bit more variety, but who knows? I thought the Cardinals a couple of years ago, when it came to a possible trade with, you know, with the Nationals for Soto, I kind of liked what the Cardinals could have offered, but in the end, they took the Padres deal. So it just depends. What do the Padres like, right? My opinion, I think the Padres want to get as many players as they can, right? According to the reports, right? They're trying to get up to 6 players, right? And if you actually go back, you know, even to a couple of trade rumors, right? The Padres, they tend to want to get as many players back as they can. I feel like that's been something that's happened with them in the past. So I just think the Yankees seem to be a better fit overall. in terms of a trade. I don't know if the Blue Jays really have as strong as a package, unless the Padres really think Manoah could be a piece. But I do agree that he has come up in some possible talks. So, again, I think Soto, I think he gets moved this week. I just think it happens. I don't know, unless really the Padres really want to hold out. So we'll have to wait and see. We had a couple more Super Chats coming in during that time. You guys are going amazing with the Super Chats. We are 40 likes away from the goal for tonight of 300 likes. Everyone help us get there. I will love you forever. Matthew Villarreal, how you doing? Look at what the Dodgers paid for Machado for half a season. I could be wrong, but I believe the Padres are going to get a pitching haul for Soto. And that's why I personally think the Yankees have the edge, right? Because they have younger pitching that they can offer, right? Where the Blue Jays, you could do Manoah, Kikuchi, I guess. But the Yankees, they have more variety in terms of pitching that they can send back. And young, cost-controlled pitching, too. Villarreal with another Super Chat, $4.99. You did back-to-back Super Chats. Oh. Well, Matthew, ask me something else. Ask me something else in the chat if you're hearing this. But let's get to it here. Did I miss one? Oh, I didn't see this one. Old Man 28 guy, a $4.99 Super Chat. You didn't say anything, but I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for that Super Chat. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the show and the channel. Thank you so much. But let's get to it here. Let's get to it. Back to the winter meetings, right? So let's move on. One guy I don't think is going to get signed is Yamamoto. Personally, I feel like Yamamoto is going to be after the winter meetings, but it seems like there could be some steam picking up a little bit with Yamamoto. So let's go back to this story real quick, right? This was back right around Thanksgiving. Yoshinobu Yamamoto's plan for free agent meetings. So remember, they said that he was going to be having Zoom call or Zoom meetings and phone calls leading up to this week. And then said he was going to fly back to Japan. And then it says here, the timeline for these in-person sit-downs is after baseball's winter meetings, which could allow teams a better sense of the pitching market if some other top hurlers are signed or traded in the interim. And that could allow Yamamoto's camp that same knowledge, as well as perhaps extra negotiation leverage if remaining suitors are even more desperate for pitching. But it seems like we've been hearing some things the last, 24, 48 hours that maybe his market is actually coming together. Obviously we had a lot of teams that were interested in him. At one point we were, given reports that half of Major League Baseball was interested in him. But I don't know, maybe he really eliminated some teams this past week. And according to Bob Nightingale, this one's a little silly to me, to be completely honest with you. Sorry, Bob. But he actually went on Dodgers Nation with Doug McCain. I guarantee there's someone in this chat that knows Doug McCain. But in the interview, Nightingale listed 3 teams as finalists for Yamamoto, including the Dodgers. I think it's down to the Dodgers, Yankees, and Mets. I have a hard time believing it'll be anyone else. Listen. Is it just me? Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I'm always wrong about pretty much everything. But is it me, or does it feel like Nightingale is always leaning Dodgers, Yankees, Mets when it comes to like any of the top players, and sometimes he'll mention the Cubs? Is that just me? I feel like anytime I see Nightingale say anything, it always has the Dodgers in it. It always has the Yankees in it. It always has the Mets in it. Maybe it'll have the Cubs. I feel like he never mentions any other teams with the superstar players. I don't know. Is that just me? Or maybe I'm going crazy. I don't know. That's very possible. But I don't believe this personally, that it is down to these 3 teams. I just don't, right? The Cardinals are really motivated. My Red Sox are really motivated. The Red Sox, excuse my giraffe neck Robbie here, but the Red Sox are very motivated to add someone. And one big thing about Yamamoto is you don't have to give up a draft pick because there's no qualifying offer there. And that's why they've been connected with Jordan Montgomery as well. So, and the Red Sox, they're trying to keep their, keep building their farm. So I wonder if they really want to give up a draft pick at this point. I think if it came down to it, if they missed out on, Yamamoto, Montgomery, and if they really, let's say Snell is still there and they really need to add, they got to add someone. They have to add someone, in my opinion. I think that's their last resort, right? I think they would prefer to hang on to the draft pick. I think that's their number one option, right? But if they can't do it, then maybe they'll go that route. But the Red Sox absolutely have to be involved here. I just don't see, and we've seen reports that the Red Sox, according to Jeff Passan, that the Red Sox are definitely going to be in the mix. So I'm not sure where Nightingale is getting this from. I personally just think it just seems like he always leans to these teams. I know they have, and of course they have the money. I get that, but I don't know. He says here, I have a hard time believing it'll be anyone else. Bob, you've been in the game for so long. Like, I'm not trying to have bias here. I'm really not. But the Red Sox got money. I mean, shoot, the Cubs, right? Maybe the Cubs want to try and get him. They've been connected with him. They got money too, right? I don't know. It's just me. I don't believe this. I really don't. I would take that with a grain of salt personally. And again, go back to my Red Sox here. And again, Jeff Passan said, although the Red Sox were out on Ohtani, they may have a shot at signing Yamamoto. Right? And Passan, he said the Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, Red Sox, Cubs, Giants, Blue Jays, Phillies, right? The Giants have a ton of money. We just talked about this earlier with Ohtani. So how is he not including the Giants? That's what I'm talking. Like, what? Like, how is he not including the Giants here? I'd have to imagine. And I got a funny one for you, everyone. Get ready for this. Get ready for this. Is it Susan Slusser? Am I pronouncing that right? I'm sorry if I'm botching the name. Slusser? 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 I'm going to say Slusser. If I'm hearing, or she's saying here, I'm hearing an awful lot of buzz on the Giants and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Some other teams in the hunt for him think the Giants might have an edge. Remember when you were all with me last year during the whole Aaron Judge sweepstakes? Does everyone remember this tweet right here from Susan? Do you all remember this? Remember last year, December 6th, 5:25 p.m., Arson Judge going to the Giants? Buzz. She used the word buzz. Again, she literally used buzz right here. And then she did it again. She used the word buzz again. Buzz in the lobby as Judge is going to sign with the Giants. And it's literally the same exact team. Buzz, Giants, and now it's Yamamoto. Listen, and I commented on here saying, will history repeat itself? I don't know, man. I don't know. I just thought that was crazy. It's like, did you not know you tweeted like literally almost the same exact thing last year, or not the same exact thing, but right? I don't know, man. I don't know. But either way, I thought that was really funny. But I personally think Yamamoto, I don't think it's down to the Mets, Yankees, and Dodgers. I don't know anything. I'm just speculating. It just seems a little far-fetched that he's already down to the 3 teams that Nightingale is listing, and he hasn't even met with any teams face-to-face. I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice if you're already down to 3 teams. I feel like you should be sitting down with more teams than this. I feel like you're only hurting yourself if you've already limited it to 3 teams. But, like, I'm thinking, like, why would the Red Sox be out of it? Why would the Cardinals already be out of it? Why would the Giants be out of it? Unless he just doesn't like something there. I don't know. But who knows? Maybe it could be the dollar amounts. Maybe these are the teams. Maybe they're just way ahead of the Red Sox, Giants, Cardinals in terms of money. That could be possible. But another thing, too, that I think about, the Dodgers are trying to do something with Ohtani here. So, like, I don't know. Like, I just think the Dodgers, they probably have, I know they could do both, but I feel like the Dodgers, they have their eyes right now on Ohtani. Yeah, you can definitely talk with both, right? I don't know. I just don't think, I don't think this is true. That's just my own opinion. I think that's just his own opinion, right? I don't think it's actually something he's completely hearing. But look out for Yamamoto. Could be interesting. Does he sign this week? I personally think no, because this is a guy that's coming over from Japan. That seems like there's going to be a lot going on at the winter meetings. In my own personal opinion, I could be completely wrong. I just think there's so much going on at the winter meetings, and I feel like he doesn't want to rush anything. This is a guy that's coming over from Japan, right? I don't know, man. I just think, I don't know. I just feel like probably after the winter meetings when everything is quieted down a little bit, and again, once, maybe some pictures, whether if it's the free agent market or the trade market come off the board, they'll have more of an idea. It just feels like he's not going to sign this week. I see him signing after this week. Now, let's catch up with a couple of super chats. We got 800 people in this chat. You all are amazing, and we got more super chats coming in. Thank you so much. Ben Lowry, $5. If Ohtani rumors are true about teams having to be quiet, why can't the Red Sox be in on him? He costs a ton, but no draft picks. And add reliever as well. Ben, I personally think the Red Sox, I just think with Ohtani, I just think that's not really the money that's not really how they should be spending their money. It's not my money. But if I'm looking at the team right now, obviously Ohtani would be great for the lineup, but we need pitching. So I personally just think the Red Sox, I just think the timing's just not really there. I think if he falls into their lap, maybe. I don't know how he falls into their lap, but that's just my opinion. That's what I think. Sean, how you doing? Yamamoto appears headed to... Wait, Mama Yoto appears headed to the Giants. More. Oh, okay. I think I see. Please, can John Heyman please have the best typo this week? I need it. Honestly, I think he should just do it on purpose. Honestly, I really think he, keep it like a yearly thing, like the winter meetings. John Heyman tweet, please. Like, I think it's something that we could get excited for every single year. We need that. D-Rod just coming in $5. Robbie, congrats on the Barrel Pod. Yes. Joining Jim of Ballcap Sports on the Barreled Up podcast. Hey, it's going to be fun. Excited to talk baseball with him. And you got some lights. Sweet. I think it's because we were using a different streaming service than what I'm using now. And for some reason, it's darker on that. Your thoughts on the shorter pitch clock? Think the Orioles young guys repeat performance? I don't know, man. I just think the pitch clock, people have to adapt. They have to adjust. You definitely saw more injuries this year. That's something you cannot hide. I think just shortening it even more, I don't know, man. I just think it was good the way it was this year. Why shorten it? I just think that's a little silly. The O's young guys repeat performance. Hey, I think the Orioles, they're a solid group, man. They're a solid group. Let's see. Can Gunnar Henderson take that next step forward? Grayson Rodriguez, can he really take that next step? Let's see. Can Kyle Bradish, can he keep up what he was doing in the second half? I think the Orioles, they got a good group there. I think they're going to be fine for next year. All in Christ, how you doing? $2. Look out for the Reds. They've been sneaky. The Reds have been sneaky. They have been, and I've been enjoying it. I think the Reds, that is a team I think people should look out for, not to, get any major free agents out there. Who knows? Maybe they shock the world. Maybe they go sign someone big. I don't know. They were in on Sonny Gray. So who knows? Maybe you could go land like Seth Lugo. I could maybe see something like that for the Reds. I think that's very possible. Someone like Blake Snell, probably not. I don't think that. But, if you're looking at, some of these guys on the starting pitching market, I think someone like Eduardo Rodriguez, would that be a guy that's going to be a bit too much for them? I don't know. But again, they definitely were in on Gray until the end. But I think someone like Lugo could make some sense. Maybe Mike Clevinger could make some sense. One of those like lower tier kind of guys. I could see that. So let's move on here to our next story. We got a few more things to talk about here. And let's move on to Dylan Cease. We've been hearing a lot about Dylan Cease over the last week or so. And we had a little something here from Ken Rosenthal. And he talks about the Braves. The Braves are known to have had trade interest in Dylan Cease. And given the team's penchant for signing players to long-term extensions, locking up a Georgia native like Cease would seem like a logical next step if a deal can be worked out to obtain the righty. But then Ken Rosenthal, in his article, he did say, they tend not to really go after the Scott Boras guys. So I don't know. I think people need to remember, you know, Scott Boras, yes, he likes his guys to go to free agency, but at the end of the day, the agent, they are looking out for the best interests, you know, of their player, of their who they're representing. So yeah, he wants them to get to the market, but if that player wants to be somewhere, Boras is not going to hold them back, right? If Dylan Cease goes to the Braves and Dylan Cease says to Boras, listen, I want to stay here, man. You know, this is somewhere I want to be for the rest of my career. Just get me as much money as I can to stay in Atlanta. I know I'm probably taking a pay cut. If Dylan Cease wants that, Boras has to listen to him, right? And anyone, right? Of course, yeah, he could probably get more money on the open market. Not even probably. Most likely, for sure, would get more money on the open market. But if he wants to stay somewhere, you got to listen to him, all right? So look out for Dylan Cease, right? The Braves, they have been coming up a lot lately. Who knows what could end up happening? Maybe something gets done when these two teams come together. The word on the block is that Chris Getz is really holding out for as much as he can. Remember, Chris Getz, he is trying to get as much talent as possible. Maybe not the most talented guys out there, or maybe not as, you know, the top tier guys, but I think he's trying to get as many players as he can get. That's the vibe I get when you looked at the move that they made with Aaron Bummer, right? Just bringing in like a ton of players, right? I think with Dylan Cease, I think they're just trying to get a ton of players back. So let's see. Maybe they can come together this week. They can sit down. They can figure it out. But I think the Braves make a lot of sense for Dylan Cease. You could send back Shawver. You could send back Vaughn Grissom. But who knows? Maybe a team who reportedly came up this week, the Diamondbacks, maybe they could offer more in terms of volume. Maybe the Dodgers can offer more in terms of volume than the Braves. It really just depends. But I think Chris Getz, he's just holding out for as much as possible. So when it comes to Dylan Cease, right, you know, you're going to be looking at a pretty decent value for Dylan Cease. So looking at this right here, with Dylan Cease, right, you got 2 years of control, not making a bunch of money next year, but he's been pretty solid. People will look to that ERA first and foremost, but look at the FIP. It was a 3.72, I believe, which is much, much lower than the ERA. So for Dylan Cease, you're looking at around $40 million worth of value here. Could even go up maybe close to 50, maybe as low as 32. So I think something gets done with Dylan Cease this week, to be honest with you. You know, especially with the way this market is going, you know, teams, maybe they just go to that trade market instead. So I'm looking out for it. We did have another picture come up this week on the trade market, and I'll get to that in just a second. We had another super chat coming in. Here we go. Ben Lowry, one more. Please do Soto to the A's trade. Ben, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think a trade happens with the Orioles and the Padres. I don't see the Orioles doing it. It's not really in their, you know. But he did the super chat. I gotta do it. So here we go. Padres, Juan Soto to the Orioles. I mean, the Orioles got prospects, you know, but do they want to be paying $33 million? I don't know. I have a hard time seeing the Orioles doing that. But yeah, sure. You know, maybe, but the problem is with the Orioles is that they have more position players that they could send back than pitching, right? Really, the only name that comes up in my head, pitching-wise, you could do Dean Kramer. Maybe you could do DL Hall, like one of those guys. I think Dean Kramer would be a guy. I don't know. That's just me. That's, you know, Dean Kramer I think is fine, like for the back half of your rotation. I don't know. I'd rather have Michael King. So, I mean, if I'm looking here, you know, Dean Kramer, $18 million. DL Hall, spread under $18 million. You got some other guys here. You got Heston Kjerstad. You know, maybe Mountcastle. Something like that. I don't know. I guess, to me, honestly, the Orioles, they have a lot when it comes to prospects, but I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't think they really got it. You know, I don't think they want to bring on that salary. You know, Ben Lowry, I'm sorry. I just don't see the Orioles getting Juan Soto. It would be fun. MLB The Show. You can do it there. Flob, $4.99. I saw a tweet that signing Yamamoto and extending Soto could basically equal Ohtani's AAV. Both younger, and you would diversify assets. Please, Yankees, please. Listen. I'd rather have the two players, right? Ohtani, I don't know what his health is going to be like. I don't know. I'm going to be paying that dude boatloads. I'd rather have Soto, Yamamoto than Ohtani, to be completely honest with you. I'm sorry. Listen, I love Ohtani. I know Ben Verlander, he would probably say he'd rather have Ohtani than Juan Soto and Yamamoto. That dude is always talking about Shohei Ohtani. I don't understand how someone could talk about Shohei Ohtani that much. But me personally, I'm going with what you're mentioning. Yamamoto, Soto. That's just me. Thank you, Flob, for the $4.99. Pac-Man, how you doing? $2. Do you think the Red Sox will spend this time? Yes, I do. Will they spend at the winter meetings? I don't know. Listen, you got to remember with Craig Breslow here. I'm not trying to defend the guy, but this is his first rodeo, right? If he gets something done, oh man, this dude, I love him, right? I already really like Craig Breslow, but let's see. He has been with the Cubs, obviously, for a while now. He was seeing how they were doing things, right? I think Breslow is going to be fine, even though it is his first rodeo leading the show. I do think they get something done personally. I just think they need to, right? And remember, with Breslow, it's not just him. It's a group of guys, right? It's a group of guys there. I think, whatever. You could say, oh, it's his first time, being the head, but no. I think they will spend. I think they need to. There's enough pressure from the fan base. Obviously, they have not been winning in the last couple of years. They have payroll flexibility. They spend. Bradley Peters, $1.99. I think the Cardinals are the favorites. Yeah, I think Dylan Cease for the Cardinals would be great. I think that would be amazing if they could add Dylan Cease. The Cardinals, man, I would love that rotation. Sonny Gray, Dylan Cease, and then you got a couple of guys that can give you some innings, right? You got Michaelis, you got Lynn, you got Gibson. In my opinion, I think that's actually a pretty good rotation because look at all the innings you could get from those 5 guys. Those guys are usually pretty durable. I think that would be pretty good, in my opinion. Be pretty good. Everyone, we're at 333 likes. We met our like goal for tonight. I appreciate you, everyone, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to bump it up to 400 likes. Like goal for tonight is 400. I am putting this in the chat. I am pinning it. And there we go. Help us get to 400 by the end of the night. Let's get to the other picture that's been popping up. And this is someone we've seen for a little while now. And that's Mr. Corbin Burnes. And according to reports from Kevin Acee of the San Diego Union Tribune, the Padres, they're not just worrying about Juan Soto right now. They're also looking at Corbin Burnes. That's interesting. Corbin Burnes for the Padres. Listen, the Padres need pitching. But I don't know, man. It just feels weird. I don't know. I think maybe they're just kicking tires. I don't know. It just feels like the Padres, I mean, they could, listen, if you clear out Juan Soto's salary, then yeah, you could add Corbin Burnes. I don't see why you couldn't, to be completely honest with you. Let's actually go see, what is Corbin Burnes making projected-wise in arbitration next year? I believe it's right around 20. I could be wrong. I probably am wrong. Is it around 20? Like 15 to 20? Can't remember. Okay, yeah, 15 million. Okay, yeah, so, okay, that's doable, right? If you get rid of Soto, right, get rid of Grisham, right, that's around close to 40 million. Bring in Burnes for 15 million next year. I mean, hey, that's not bad, right? The Padres are trying to win. So I can see why they would go after Corbin Burnes, right? Yes, people think, oh, they're trading Soto. They're not going to try and compete. No, they're going to try and compete, right? But instead, right, they're going to go other way. They're going to try other ways, right? And I think adding Corbin Burns would be really nice for this rotation. I mean, if you have Darvish healthy, Joe Musgrove, and then Corbin Burns in this rotation, I think that's pretty good. Now, the problem is with the Padres, I don't know, like, what's going to happen here? Like, you're once again bringing in a guy that's coming up on free agency. You know, is this something where they want to keep giving up pieces? Right? I could see them maybe making some trades for some lower tier kind of guys, right? This guys that aren't going to cost as much. But I don't know. Burns would be really nice. So who knows? The Padres, they've pulled this stuff off before. And again, going back to the article, I just want to give credit. So Kevin Acee wrote this, right, saying that they are looking to find starters to put behind Musgrove and Darvish during the winter meetings. And then he did mention Corbin Burns right there. So when it comes to what a trade could look like, well, I put together a trade, and one guy, probably going to get people rolling their eyes, Padres fans going to roll their eyes at me, but why not someone like Ha-Seong Kim? All right. I think Padres fans would cry themselves to sleep, but Ha-Seong Kim could be a piece for the Brewers. He has control for the next couple of years. You know, that could be a decent guy. Maybe play some third, right? You know, that's, I think, you know, I don't know. Am I crazy? I just feel like Ha-Seong Kim could be a pretty nice piece for them, because when I'm looking at players that have value and players that would make sense, I'm not saying this would be a good trade. I want everyone to just remember that. All the trades that I pull up here, it's not something I'm saying would actually be the best idea. I'm just trying to come up with the best possible scenario for the two teams. And when I'm thinking of a guy that could help make up value in a trade, I think Kim could be a piece, you know, because when I'm looking at other pieces here, I mean, could you send back Campusano? Sure. I guess, but he has a ton of value right there. So maybe you could do Campusano, maybe a couple lower level pieces, maybe. I don't know. Snelling, he's pretty far away right now. They want major league ready pitching. And I know I threw in a couple of guys, but that's the problem that the Padres have, right? Is they don't have a lot of pitching to send back to the Brewers. I mean, again, what would they want back, right? So maybe they would want pitching back in return. I'm not sure, but who knows? Maybe they would be okay with possibly getting a position player back. I don't know. That's just me. But I threw in Iriarte. I threw in Mazur. You know, could you maybe do a couple other guys in here? You know, yeah. Could you get something done? Maybe throw in Tom Cosgrove in there. Maybe. You know, again, I'm just trying to put together the best possible package. So, Brewers fans, Padres fans, let me know. If you came together for a trade for Corbin Burns, what trade would you do? Make sure you leave it in the comments. So, yeah, Wavy, I agree. Campusano, I just think, I don't know. I don't think the Padres can really afford to give up Campusano for someone like Burns. I mean, yeah, Campusano would be a nice piece to get for the Brewers, but I don't think the Padres would want to give him up. So, I mean, yeah, Marcus, I agree. You know, could you bring back Gary Sanchez? Yeah, you know, maybe you could do that. I still wonder if they could bring him back. He was pretty good for them last year. So, look out for Corbin Burns, everyone. Look out for Corbin Burns. We had a couple more Super Chats coming on in. What do we got here for Super Chats? Here we go. Ethan Stein, how you doing, my friend? $5. Keep an eye on the Marlins this week. One of Rogers or Cabrera may be moved. I agree with you. I think they're a dark horse team, because we have seen Trevor Rogers and Edward Cabrera come up. I actually really think, I wonder if maybe the Red Sox are looking towards the Marlins, because there was something out there today that the Red Sox aren't really looking at rentals when it comes to pitching. They want guys that are under control. And how many times have I said this? I don't remember exactly the times, like what streams exactly I've said this, but I know I've said this. I've even tweeted it out, right? Let me actually go to the tweet that I actually put out here. It was from Alex Spire, and I retweeted it. So taking a look here. And Tyler Milliken, great guy to follow if you're a Red Sox fan. And he put from Alex Spire here, it doesn't seem like the Red Sox are too focused on rentals. The Sox seem more inclined to dip more aggressively into their prospect pool to get a pitcher who would be part of the rotation for multiple seasons. I have said this so many times, and people keep saying, Corbin Burnes, go get Corbin Burnes. And I'm like, listen, yeah, I would love Corbin Burnes, but he's a one-year guy, and you got Breslow coming in, he's the new guy, he's the new head honcho. Do you think right now he's looking for one-year rentals? No, he wants to bring in a guy for the rotation that he can build around, right? That he can have in his rotation and his plans for the next few years. Like, that just has always seemed pretty logical to me. But I do think he's going to try and bring in a guy that is really going to help them, that's under control. And we've talked before about how the Mariners have a lot of young pitching. I don't think the Mariners trade Kirby. I also think it's pretty unlikely they trade Gilbert. But I think if the right package comes along for the Mariners, I think they could trade Gilbert. Not Kirby, though. Kirby is not going anywhere. I think Gilbert maybe could go somewhere. If not, one of those two. You could do Bryce Miller. You could do Brian Wu. That's very possible. But yeah, I agree with what this is saying here. It just doesn't looking at it from a logical point of view, it doesn't make a lot of sense for the Red Sox to go after a one-year rental because they're not really in that win now mode, right? They're not like these other teams like the Dodgers are in a prime spot where they're winning 100 games every single season, it feels like, and getting a piece like Corbin Burnes could put them over the top, right? The Red Sox aren't really near the top right now. So trying to, get a piece, giving up prospects to bring in a guy who, sure, could probably help you get to the playoffs, but are you really in a position, to go win a championship? And are you willing to give up prospects for a guy that's more likely going to just probably help you maybe get to the playoffs? Maybe he doesn't help you get to the playoffs, right? That's the teams for Corbin Burnes to me are the teams that are in those positions, right? The Dodgers, maybe the Orioles. I don't know about that. I don't know. The Orioles, I'm not sure what they're even doing, but you know what I mean? Like the Rangers, if they really wanted to go after another starter, which they could use, I think the Rangers could make some sense for someone like Corbin Burnes, right? Just winning a championship, go after another one. Someone like Corbin Burnes could be good for them, right? The Red Sox, I just don't see. But thank you for that super chat. I greatly appreciate it here. But yeah, Ethan, talking about what you mentioned about the Marlins, I think the Red Sox, Trevor Rogers or Edward Cabrera, I think could be options there. I do, because they're under control. They got good stuff. I could see Breslow being intrigued by that. And it won't cost them a lot. So I agree with you. I agree. Mr. Guarded, $5 super chat. Assuming the M's get Snell or Yamamoto, try this trade on for size. Gilbert, Harry Ford, Gabriel Gonzalez for Mullins and Jackson Holiday. Mr. Guarded, I am sorry, my friend, but Jackson Holiday, he's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere, my friend. The Orioles, they are hanging on to that kid, man. That kid is going to be special, right? Oh, man. He was just doing a home run derby. What is the channel? Oh, I'm going blank on the name. Is it, what is the channel? Oh, the Baseball Bat Bros, right? He just did a home run derby with them. Matt Holliday, his dad, was in there. That was pretty cool. Jackson Holiday is going to be a stud, man. Going to be a stud. There's no way the Orioles are giving him up. Gilbert would be nice, though. Ethan Sacco, how you doing, my friend? $5 super chat. I'm so sick of the mainstream analysts. I agree. It's always the Yankees, Mets, and the Dodgers at the top or the free agent list. Cardinals get no love. Hey, that's what gets the ratings, man. That's what gets it. Really think about it, right? The Yankees have a huge fan base. The Dodgers, huge fan base. The Mets, huge fan base. So Bob Nightingale, when he's putting his stuff out there, yeah, it probably makes more sense to put, those teams in there, maybe to spread it out a little bit more. But think, if you just put those three teams in there, the Yankees, Dodgers, Mets, well, now it's like, oh my gosh, they're down to 3 teams. Oh man, they're going to be people are going to be spreading out his article like wildfire, right? You know, because those are the hot rod teams, right? Those are the lightning rod kind of teams. So when you got more teams in there, it feels more watered down. But when you just got the Yankees, Mets, and the Dodgers, people are going to be like, oh, this is getting serious, right? So that's what I think. Wardy, this joint just popped up in front of me. Wardy says, looking extra handsome today, I see. I'm going to be honest with you, Wardy. I woke up today. Listen to what I've eaten the last couple of days. 2 nights ago, I had an entire pizza. I was working on a video all day, and I was hungry, and I didn't have time to cook. So I threw a whole pizza in the oven. It was one of those, the Screaming Sicilians. Is that what you call them? I ate the whole thing, dude. I'm not kidding. I ate the whole thing. I'm not half, not 3/4 of it. I ate the entire thing. I think it was like probably 1,800 calories for the whole thing. I felt terrible after. I don't know why I even did it. And then yesterday, I went out to some... what do you call it? Like some like Christmas little event that's like nearby. Man, they had this grilled cheese stand. I got one of those. They had like an arepa stand. I got one of those. Dude, I felt like the blueberry from Willy Wonka. Like I had all the sodium in me, man. All of it. I felt like the blueberry from Willy Wonka today. I'm not kidding. I feel awful. I don't feel handsome, but I'm glad you're saying I look handsome. Thank you. Thank you. Wardy, you're always looking handsome, my friend. Wardy, thank you so much. Wardy, I hope you're ready for this week. We're all ready for it, man. We're all ready. Buckle up. Buckle those seatbelts. Get your Dr. Pepper, whatever the heck you're drinking. It's going to be a wild week. Wardy, good luck to you, my friend. I know you're going to be streaming a lot this week. Everyone, go check out Wardy. Go check him out. Great Mets channel. If you're looking for anything Mets, please go check out Wardy. Here we go, everyone. I feel like we haven't even gotten to... Like, have we even gotten past half of the stories that I have? All right, let's get to some other trade candidates here. Again, I'm trying to give you a full preview for this week. I mean, what do I know? I don't know anything. But we got little Tyler Glasnow, where we've heard about him. And this is actually going to tie in here. I'm going to go on a bit of a... I don't want to say a rant, but Tyler Glasnow is only the beginning of this segment, right? But let's start with him, right? Him and the Cubs, they've been linked in rumors. The Athletics' Sahadev Sharma, I probably botched that. He says here, nothing has changed too much over the past week, and nothing seemed close to done, certainly not with the Cubs. But he does say that the Rays are looking for controllable young pitching as the headliner in the Glasnow trade package. Well, if I'm going to look here at let's do a Cubs Glasnow trade, right? So let's see. Like, what could the Cubs possibly send back? Well, let's see. First guy that comes to mind, maybe someone like Jordan Wicks. I don't know about that, though. But when you're thinking of Glasnow, he has a bit of value, but it's nothing crazy, right? Where is Glasnow here? Glasnow, where the heck are you? Where is he? I don't know where Glasnow is. Okay, there we go. So Glasnow, you're looking at anywhere for maybe like 10 to 15 million. That sounds about right when you think of, 1 year left on his deal. He's had injuries obviously in the past few years, so that feels about right for Glasnow. When he's healthy, he's great, but the injury history here, it's bogging him down, and then you got the 1 year left. So can the Cubs possibly send something back? Well, I mentioned Jordan Wicks. I don't know about that. I don't think the Cubs want to part with him, right? And his value is higher, so I don't see that. Now, if I'm looking at maybe someone like Ben Brown, maybe you could do that. That's a guy I could maybe see the Rays being interested in. Could you do Hayden Wesneski? I don't know. Maybe Hayden Wesneski. I don't know. Maybe send back a couple lower level pieces here. And, maybe they could get something done. Who knows? Who knows? But Glasnow is definitely a name I would pay attention to this week. He's been coming up a lot, and teams are obviously looking for pitching. The thing with Glasnow is he's not really a complicated case for a trade, right? As you can see here, the value is not extremely high. Where Dylan Cease, that gets more complicated because he has a much higher value, All right. So you're going to be going back and forth a lot more. When it comes to Glasnow, it is more straightforward to get a trade done with him. So I do think something gets done with him this week, but it's not just Glasnow. It's not just Glasnow. We also got Randy Arozarena popping up in the news this past week. That one kind of shocked me when I first heard it, right? I was like, wow, Arozarena? This is their most marketable player? Like, why? Who knows what happens with Wander Franco next year? Is he ever even coming back? I don't know. But obviously, Randy Arozarena now is their most marketable player. And I'm thinking, man, they want to get rid of him? Man, the Rays don't care what the fans think. But when it comes to Arozarena, this is a guy, 3 years of, or 2 years of, I'm trying to think. Is it 1 year of control? Or 2 years of control, 3 years of control? So free agent in 2027, so 24, so 3 years of control. That's a lot, man. And when it comes to Randy Arozarena, he has a decent amount of value. So let's go put the Rays. Here we go. And he's got around, I think, a $30 million value when it comes to trade assets, right? So 33.5. He could go anywhere from right around 27 million to 40 million, right? That's the range. That's a hefty amount. But the Rays, listen, in my opinion, when it comes to the Rays, right, I think they see Arozarena as a guy who still has a lot of value. He definitely didn't play as well in the second half last year. So if you look at the numbers, hit 254, 364 on base is really good, 425 slugging. Actually, when I saw that number at the end of the year, I was like, wow, really? His slugging went down to a 425? It was so much higher at one point. But the WRC plus 126. Arozarena is still a really solid player, right? He's going to give you definitely some speed as well on the bases. 22 stolen bases last year, a 1.8 base running. So Arozarena, this is a guy that's going to bring you a lot to your team, and he's also going to be a fan favorite. He'll sell some jerseys. He'll sell some T-shirts, especially if you got him for 3 years, right? Bobblehead night. I have a Randy Arozarena bobblehead. It's literally over here somewhere in this mess of a place that I'm in. So I'm just saying, Randy Arozarena, he's marketable. So when I thought about it more, it kind of just made sense. And the Rays, they're trying to clear up as much payroll as they can, right? If we're looking at the Rays payroll for next year, they already are going to wreck their highest payroll of all time. Their highest payroll was back in 2022. I believe it's going to sound crazy. I think it was like 85 million, like 85, 90 million, right around that range. And if we're looking here, they are already barreling towards a record payroll by far in 2024. It's estimated to be 126. So they're trying to get rid of Glasnow. All right, that's 25 million they would get off the books. Margot has been a name that's been popping up, so look out for Margot. That's 10 million right there. Could Yandy Diaz? I think they keep Yandy Diaz personally. But if we're looking at Arozarena, he's making 9 million next year projected. So you're looking at right now 25 for Glasnow, 10 for Margot. I mean, you're looking at maybe, close to 45 million that you're looking to clear off, right? So the Rays, I think, are going to be pretty active this week. Michael Marino came on the show this past week. He just said, if you listened during that pod, during that show, it was, what night was that? Was that on Thursday night? Or was that Wednesday night? I can't remember the night exactly. But he said the Rays could be looking to just blow this up, right? Try and get rid of a few guys to really clear that payroll. So I honestly really think, man, look out. Look out for the Rays. And then we had another story come up about the Rays just today from John Morosi, 10:50 in the morning. Isaac Paredes is one name to watch on the trade market this week. Oh, my goodness. That is a big name, man. And you're probably thinking, Isaac Paredes, what? Look at the year that he had last year. He was really good. He hit 250, a 352 on base, 488 slugging, a 137 WRC plus, 31 homers, a 4.3 Fangraph WAR. This guy mashed. He's 24 years old. This guy is not a free agent until 2028. Right now, he's making under $1 million. Let's actually see. What is his projected salary for next year? $3.2 million. So to me, like, I would think, man, the Rays, you know, that's pretty cheap. Why would you not hang on to that guy? Here's one thing I've noticed with the Rays. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But I personally think if they're going to trade Glasnow, they need pitching, right? They need pitching because you're going to have Eflin. If Glasnow's gone, Eflin's going to be your opening day guy. Then you got Littell, you got Savali, and then Boz is going to come back, right? You got Montgomery down in the minor leagues. But after that, there's not a whole lot else. I wonder if the Rays are really looking to add some pitching, right? Guys like Randy Arozarena, he could definitely get you there, right? Absolutely can get. And you're not going to have McClanahan either. So that's another thing to keep in mind, right? I keep forgetting about McClanahan. You're not going to have him. So Arozarena's value can definitely bring you back some young pitching. I wonder, you know, earlier we talked about the Marlins. We had the super chat coming in, right, about the Marlins. Could you maybe send Arozarena to the Marlins, maybe get Edward Cabrera back, maybe get Trevor Rogers back in a deal like that? I wonder if, and the Marlins, they could use another bat, right? Who knows what's going on with Jorge Soler? So Arozarena would be a really nice fit for the Marlins, in my opinion. I think that would be a great fit, right? Stays in Florida. I'm sure he would love that. I wonder if maybe the Marlins and the Rays could come together for Arozarena. Then, Glasnow again, they're looking for some cost-controlled pitching. So it seems like the Rays right now, in my personal opinion, they're looking for pitching. But also, you're probably wondering, well, if they get rid of Arozarena, if they get rid of Paredes, well, what's going to happen with their bats? Well, remember, you got Caminero down in the minor leagues, right? You got, I'm going blank. Oh, my goodness, I'm going blank. Caminero. I'm going completely. Oh, Curtis Mead, right? Curtis Mead. That's the other guy that's probably going to be coming up next year. So you got two bats coming up, right? They probably think these guys are going to be really good. So they can just, in the Rays' opinion, they can just trade Arozarena, trade Paredes, and they're going to be fine, right? That's kind of how the Rays have always operated. But the one thing with Paredes, this guy has a ton of value, right? We just looked at his numbers. Look at the numbers with Paredes one more time. Again, the stat line looks great, but look at the controllable years. You got him for 24, 25, 26, 27. You got him for 4 more years. That's a lot of Isaac Paredes. He's only making right around $3 million next year. That's cheap. What does that mean? You have a very high value when it comes to trades. Very high. $65 million is the median. You could go as low as around 50. You could go maybe even towards 75. I think personally with Paredes, you're probably looking at maybe, I'd say probably, in my opinion, probably around 50 to 55. That's what I think with Paredes, right? He's only 25 years old too. This guy's good. And you know what I was thinking? You know what I was thinking of? Do you all remember, if you go back to the trade deadline, if you go back, Mr. Bob coming up yet again, the Rays had been, this is a trade deadline, 3:43 p.m., July 31st. The Rays had been heavily scouting the Mariners for one of their young starters before turning to Aaron Savali. Who could they have been scouting? He also put here, like, what was it, 5 minutes later? 8 minutes later, he also tweeted out, the Guardians really needed a bat, and now they have their first baseman in 2024 with Kyle Manzardo, the best mustache in the game. The Rays, well, maybe not the best, but it could be the best at some point. The Rays badly needed another starter for the pennant race, And the Mariners wanted to keep Logan Gilbert? Interesting. I have something for you, everyone. This is probably not going to happen, but I find it pretty funny. Look at this trade. Isaac Paredes for Logan Gilbert. Oh, I can't wait. Mariners fans are going to explode at that. Oh, they're going to just, their heads are going to pop. But look at the values. It's so funny. They're like completely, almost identical values. I don't think this happens. I just find it funny. But I wonder, could the Rays maybe go back to the Mariners and say, hey, Logan Gilbert available? We'll give you Paredes. Maybe we'll give you a couple other guys too. That's a major league ready bat for the Mariners that they definitely need. It's interesting. I wonder. Logan Gilbert, that's a young starting pitcher that could be in the Rays rotation for the next several years, right? And actually, Logan Gilbert, isn't he from Florida? I could be wrong. Logan Gilbert. I think that's also hilarious. I feel like he's actually from Florida. Is it? Is that where he's from? Yeah, he went to high school right around me. He went to Wekiva High School in Apopka, Florida. That's like not even that far from me. That's like, what, 30 minutes from me? Yeah, Logan Gilbert back in Florida? Oh, could you imagine? Oh, I'm just saying, everyone. Look out, man. Look out. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. You could see the Rays and the Mariners come together. Maybe the Mariners could somehow, I don't know, man, Isaac Paredes and Randy Arozarena. That's too much, in my opinion. But who knows? I don't know about that. That's a lot of bats. That's a lot. But Logan Gilbert is Logan Gilbert, a young starting pitcher who's proven to be a workhorse. He's not even in the prime of his career yet. That would be huge for the Rays if they could pick him up. I'm just saying. Anyway, let's move on here. So pretty much just kind of wrapping that segment up. I honestly think the Rays are going to have a big week. I think the Mariners I think they're going to go out there and do something, right? I don't know, man. I'm just seeing the Mariners popping up everywhere. And I think the Mariners, they have pieces. That's the thing. The Mariners have a treasure chest of pitching. I think the Mariners, they go get their bat this week. I think the Rays, they unload. They get some pitching. Those two teams seem like pretty good trade partners in my personal opinion. Moving on to our I'd say our last segment. I guess you could say our last segment. Let's talk about Josh Hader. Josh Hader, according to Ken Rosenthal, he is looking for the highest contract ever for a reliever, exceeding the 5-year, $102 million deal Edwin Diaz received from the Mets. Right off the bat, I don't think he beats Edwin Diaz. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I personally think Edwin... Well, that's the other thing, too, is Edwin Diaz, he also... You know, he went back to the Mets, right? So was there maybe a bit of a hometown discount there a little bit? I don't know. I just have a hard time because I personally think Edwin Diaz is so much better than Josh Hader. Don't get me wrong. I know Padres fans are going to be mad at me for that one. Well, he's not even on your team anymore, so whatever. But Hader, he was really good last year. Look at the ERA at 1.28, FIP at a 2.69. Good amount of strikeouts, 13.5. But look at the walks, though. The walks were around 5 walks per 9, right? So, you know, he was good. But was he Edwin Diaz good? I don't know about that, man. Edwin Diaz, and I'm talking about Edwin Diaz from 2022. This dude was so nasty in 2022. ERA of a 1.31, the FIP at a 0.90, averaging 99 miles an hour, 17 strikeouts per 9, 2.6 walks per 9. I mean, come on. That's just nasty. And actually, Actually, on baseball trade values, they actually have a new feature on their website. You can actually look up the future free agent value for players if you become a member of the site. And it just so happens that right now, baseball trade values, they are offering a discount for all of you, 10% off any subscription. They got 2 different subscriptions, right? You could do front office. You can do general manager. I just clicked on the wrong thing. But you can either do front office or general manager for the subscription. And you will also get the free agent value tool with, my goodness, the general manager option, right? But right now, 10% off if you use my code HIDE, right? Click the link in the description. It's right there for you. And then when you go to the checkout, make sure you type in HIDE and you get 10% off. Get yourself a little Christmas gift for this year. But Josh Hader, right now, they are projecting for 5 years. They're looking at right around like.
Welcome back to the baseball.
What the heck just happened? My goodness, baseball trade values. I cannot talk to you right now. But Josh Hader, they're projecting a 5-year, $90 million deal. I actually think that's pretty reasonable. I think you could see like 5 years, 85, maybe 95. I don't see him getting Edwin Diaz money. I don't know. I think a team would be a bit silly to give Josh Hader that much money. I don't know. Edwin Diaz, that's like a completely different animal right there. Josh Hader's 29. Edwin Diaz was younger when he got the deal. So, they weren't predicting that his knee was going to get, injured. So that was also one thing. So he was a year younger when he got the deal. So, I don't see it. I think Hader gets around like $90 million. I think that's pretty, that's pretty believable to me. But we have a couple of more stories here. Let me just check if we had any other super chats coming in. William Fulgham, how you doing? $4.99. Arozarena to the Braves with a package, in a package with Glasnow. That could be interesting. That would be really good for the Braves, right? I think the Braves, they're probably, in my opinion, I think they're looking at Dylan Cease right now. And maybe they pivot to Glasnow, but that would kill 2 birds, man, right? If you got Arozarena and Glasnow, because you could use a left fielder, another pitcher in the rotation. I think they prefer Cease. I think that could be the fallback option, right? I could see that. So thank you, William, for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. We got to 400 likes, everyone. We met our goal for the night, our second goal for the night. I love you. You're awesome. Can we get to 450, maybe 500 by the end of the night? I don't know. But we got a couple more stories here. I'm going to kind of run through these. This is pretty much, we're at the end of the show. But just a couple of more things. The Dodgers, they've been a bit active in some more back burner kind of news. They're interested in Lucas Giolito. If I actually go to baseball trade values, you're probably wondering, what could Lucas Giolito get in terms of a free agent contract after a bad year? Well, actually, they are still projecting him to be around $20 million. I wonder maybe if he ends up getting like 15 to 20 for a 1 year. But again, teams need pitching, but he was really bad last year. So I personally will go under on this one. I'll go maybe like 15 to 18 million. But who knows? Teams need pitching, so maybe it could end up getting up to that. Also, when it came to the Dodgers, Joe Kelly. Love me some Joe Kelly Fight Club. He's going back to the Dodgers. They worked out a deal. And because remember, he had the club option declined. So they, he was good. He was a free agent, but they worked out a new deal. Also, the Blue Jays. We talked a lot about the Blue Jays earlier with Ohtani and Juan Soto. They have interest in Brantley and Peterson. I've talked about Peterson for the Blue Jays. I think that it actually could be a pretty good fit. So look out for that. Look out for that. Do I have any other stories to talk about? I don't think I do. Don't think I do. But everyone, that's all I got for tonight. That's I think as much as I could squeeze into the show tonight. I know that was a bit of a long one for tonight. That was about a couple hours, but there's a lot to talk about here, right? We got a big week coming up. We got Ohtani possibly, Juan Soto, who knows, maybe Yamamoto. I think that's going to be more after the meetings. I think the Rays could be really busy this week. I think the Mariners could be really busy this week. For the Mets, let's see. Could they get active? There's also been a little something on the Mets with Jung-Hoo Lee, right? So I'm not sure, what kind of progress could be made there. Has he even been posted? I feel like, has he even been posted yet? But they had shown some interest. He's expected to be posted soon. So that was something that actually came out today. Let's see. Jung-Hoo Lee will be posted very soon. It's the only thing I'm seeing. But that was that was a few days ago when that came out. So who knows? Maybe he gets posted this week. And maybe he could become someone on this market. But the Mets, the Padres, they've shown some interest in him. The Yankees have been connected with him as well. But everyone, you were all amazing tonight. Huge turnout for the show. I think did we hit 800 people in this show? We might have hit 800. I don't know. But I know we had at least 700, and that's amazing. So you guys are awesome. You're awesome. Thank you for turning out. It's always great seeing all your friendly faces in the chat. I can't exactly see your faces, but I'm just imagining I'm seeing your faces in the chat. But so many super chats tonight. You all hit the like button like crazy for me. We got to 300 for the original like goal. We got to 400. So thank you so much. Always appreciate you. And again, thank you for all the super chats tonight. Greatly appreciated. Everyone, we got a big week coming up. I'm going to be live every single night. Tomorrow night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, maybe even Friday if anything happens, right? Everyone, get yourselves ready. Go get yourselves some sleep. You're all going to be looking at Twitter nonstop this week. So again, make sure the bell notification is turned on. Just in case I go live if anything breaks. I will go live if any breaking news happens. So make sure. Again, if anyone's new, subscribe. Join the family. We're talking baseball here pretty much every day. Share the show. And one more time, if you haven't, hit the like on the way out. Everyone, I'm out of here for tonight. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate the huge turnout. I'll be back tomorrow night or maybe sooner if anything breaks. So let's get ready for some fun this week, everyone. Have yourself a great night, and I'll talk to you next time.